Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom Site's official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. My name is Orion, and I'm joined by Carlos.
Hey, yo.
Tyler.
Oh.
And Aaron.
What's up? It's your boy.
Today is our final day of Symbiote September giveaway, and our final prize is an Agent Venom Funko Pop. One of our live audience members will win, so stay tuned to win. At some point during our show, we will announce the giveaway keyword. Keep it in mind until the end of the show. Good luck, everybody. It's week 8 of our Absolute Carnage podcast series, in which we cover the event's latest comics and tie-ins. Today, we're taking a look at Amazing Spider-Man number 30 and Absolute Carnage Miles Morales number 2. So let's begin with Amazing Spider-Man number 30. My initial thoughts for this one, I would say, guys, is if anyone is really just following this tie-in for Absolute Carnage, it's maybe a little disappointing. Not much really happens because this story is like half concerning itself with the ongoing story in Amazing Spider-Man with Kindred and all that.
Yeah, this issue is mainly for the folks that are reading Spider-Man. This is very loosely related. This mostly focuses on Norman and Peter, and there's a lot of flashbacks to when Peter was younger, and I think Gwen was alive, and they were all friends and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's mainly geared toward the folks that are reading Amazing Spider-Man. It just so happens that Absolute Carnage is happening. But yeah, it really does serve to build up who this new villain is. Yeah, I mean, there's a few good scenes. The art is amazing. I believe the artist is Ryan Otley.
Yeah.
His first panel where he draws Venom was amazing. It looked exactly like a Mark Bagley artwork from, I think it was Maximum Carnage, where he's drawing like a review of the symbiote, and looked exactly like that panel, and it looked amazing. So I wish he got to do more art with Venom, but it seemed it was mostly focused on Peter, which was, fine, but, what are you going to do? This is a Spider-Man book, not a Venom book.
First, I just want to say, disappointing. Excuse me. I love the ASM issue. I really did. Like, granted, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm probably one of the biggest Spider-Man fans from this podcast. But
Bad.
One thing I would like to counterpoint. You guys are saying, it did. I will agree that it didn't focus on Absolute Carnage a whole lot, and it just sort of used being involved to launch into its own thing, that its continuing story. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive. Though people who are only reading Absolute Carnage might be a little disappointed. You have to consider Venom: War of the Realms. We thought it was the story, and we were just waiting to get back to the main story. So I can completely understand Spencer wanting to continue to do his own thing. I think all of us can appreciate what Bunn did during War of the Realms, but it was just we were just sort of waiting to get back to Donnie's story.
Right, but that's why we're called the Venom site and not the Spider-Man site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're going to be disappointed, but I mean,
from a Venomaniacs perspective, this is kind of meh.
Personally, for me, this week has kind of been the most slowest out of all the issues to come so far. I mean, they did give us a recap on Kindred, and I'm surprised he went to visit Norman in his cell, and he's pretty much just mocking him, seeing what he's become, what he's been reduced to. So I thought that was a little pretty neat there. But again, the artwork in the issue was great. I like how Venom made that little panel cameo there, and then just seeing Peter's flashback, in his youth, in his younger days, and then also maybe. And then also we get a little return for Flash in the flashback, which was pretty cool. Yep.
Who's not supposed to be in his war uniform.
Shout out to John.
This is probably the first time Ryan Otley's drawn Flash, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care. So,
Right.
Too bad, but continuing at the art though, Ryan Ottley, I have to agree. His art has been one of the highlights of Amazing Spider-Man, and it continues just being amazing. Like, no pun intended. Just the whole fight with Norman Carnage, it's just so visceral. You can feel the weight behind each stroke.
Yeah,
Ryan Ottley is absolutely incredible.
I got that sense too. Every time when they were throwing punches, I could actually feel like the emotions of how Peter, he has to stop Norman from getting to his grandchild, and that was amazing artwork there.
Ryan Ottley and Ryan Stegman. Ryan's got some good talent, I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
yeah. So, it just kind of makes me disappointed that he's not fighting the actual Carnage. We've waited to see him in, Amazing Spider-Man forever. And it's the same thing that's happening with, Scream and, some of the others. He's fighting Carnage, but it's not actually Carnage. But it's fine because it serves the purpose of the book, but still, though.
I saw a comment somewhere. I think Cletus himself, other than the one little tiny background cameo Dark Carnage had, he had one panel in this. Hasn't been in the ASM title for 20 years at this point?
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So, otherwise, not much really happens in in the Absolute Carnage part of the story. We have a bit of a throwdown between Spider-Man and Norman's Carnage, and that's about it. At some point, this was something that kind of confuses the timeline, because I know that in the beginning of the issue it says it takes place after Absolute Carnage number 3. We see Spider-Man alone with Dylan and Normie trying to keep them safe.
I don't know. To me, it's a little confusing because I see Norman. He's appearing in this title, of course. Then he appeared at the very end of Scream number 2. Then he's in Deadpool versus Carnage, Absolute Carnage, and then he's at multiple places at once. It's just so hard to follow along.
I almost feel like what happened was that they're like, all right, guys, here's the event. Dark Carnage is going to be the main villain, but he's going to have some minions. Norman's going to be Carnage as well, so there'll be sort of 2 Carnages. And I feel like every single writer hearing that was like, oh, that means I can use Norman Carnage instead.
Yeah.
All of them thought that at once, and they didn't tell each other. So...
yeah. Sort of a shame, because this is Carnage's event, and we're just using the, Norman Osborn poor man's Carnage instead. But for this issue, it works. So yeah, but I just hate that it's not Cletus Cassidy. But
hey, he's just playing with the tools he's been given. Can't blame Spencer for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Status Pro is going to win out at the end of this event, and Carnage is going to be back to normal. But
I'm still betting Norman dies at the end of this event.
Yeah,
I really feel like that's going to happen.
Now,
I'm not sure.
Possibly.
We can talk about. I guess we can sort of touch on who we think Kindred is. I know that's more of a Spider-Man thing, but it really seems like they're trying to hit home that it's one of those 5 friends. And I don't know.
For sure. I totally feel you on that. It was definitely like, and then we even got a list. It's he even lists off the people most important to him, MJ, Flash,
Harry, Gwen, me. Yeah.
Oh, personally, I have had the long running theory that it's actually part of Peter's soul that he sold to Mephisto basically in the marriage.
Mm-hmm. That makes
strongest candidates are either him or Harry.
I would like to see a big curveball and maybe it'd be Flash, but I don't think Flash makes sense because he doesn't.
Yeah.
The
timeline doesn't match up at all.
Yeah. Gwen would be cool too, but I think that would taint the whole Spider-Gwen thing. So, but I don't know. It probably is Peter because it seems like we're getting a lot of Mephisto stuff happening. So. Yeah.
All right. So there is one thing I do want to address because I know that there's been a lot of confusion lately about who is Carnage? Is Carnage even still alive? I've been seeing this question pop up a lot, and I had actually guest hosted quite recently on the Amazing Spider Talk podcast, reviewing Absolute Carnage number 3, and we had talked about that, Dan and I, trying to clarify what is the status of the Carnage symbiote and who is wearing who. And to clarify, as Donny Cates had mentioned several times, Cletus Cassidy is actually not bonded to the Carnage symbiote. He's bonded to the Grendel symbiote as Dark Carnage. And Norman Osborn himself is also not bonded to the Carnage symbiote, since it had died in at the end of the Red Goblin saga. He's actually bonded to an extension of the Grendel symbiote.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me, because even in the last issue, the Venom symbiote said, "I need to stop my spawn," and then he says, "My spawn." He's talking about Carnage.
Yeah,
he's talking about Norman.
It's very confusing. I think people it feels like all our ducks are not in a row when it comes to the continuity of who's saying what.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense to me, because Cates seems like a guy who would make sure that all of the ducks are in a row, right? Like, it seems like he cares about the Venom symbiote having its own character. So I'm kind of confused why he's not trying to be more specific about the Carnage symbiote, because
along with
he also knows,
along with editor Devin Lewis, who he's been a long time Venom editor now, and he should also be catching this, I think.
Marvel's definitely had some problems with editorial over the past few years.
Yeah,
right.
That is true.
So, but this makes me really nervous, because it's like, are we just not caring if it's the actual Carnage or not? Because that makes it sound like maybe Carnage isn't going to be back at the end, and maybe we don't really care.
Something they could have done that I think would have made us pretty happy is that, like, when in the first issue, like, it could have revealed, like, when he breaks in to get Norman, he's like, Dark Carnage could have been like, "Oh, look what I picked up from Alchemax," and he has like the Carnage thing in the bottle, and then he gets it on Norman.
Right, and that's all they had to do. Like, after that, it would be perfectly fine.
And granted, I do have a bit of a headcanon I'm sort of using for my personal explanation.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a Venom Inc. situation when Mac Gargan with Lee Price spitting part of the Mania symbiote onto him, and then it sort of turned him into a full symbiote by mixing with the remnants of the Venom symbiote still in him. So I'm guessing maybe that sort of happened with the Grendel symbiote, where it mixed with the remnants inside Norman, and now it's like become a full Carnage symbiote by merging those together.
That could be a possibility too. So
right, but it's just so weird that they're not being specific about this. I just
they're
don't understand, because like
it very
it's
vague.
Carnage. You need to tell us, where is Carnage? Like, yes, like, we have Cletus Cassidy, but where is his symbiote?
Yeah, I theorized on the Amazing Spider-Cast that Carnage is officially dead, both Cletus Cassidy and the symbiote. In Cletus Cassidy's case, he's been dead since Carnage Born, because he's practically a corpse now, and whatever's left of his personality, I theorize, is just an echo from the Grendel symbiote or from Null. It's not really Cletus Cassidy, especially given how he's been acting as Null's avatar and serving Null, and that's definitely not Cletus Cassidy. And it also goes along with the whole false origin thing. Like, we know that's not his origin, and even Donny Cates says it's an unreliable narrator. So I believe that we've officially seen the end of Carnage in the books.
Yeah,
I think that's going a bit too far. I think it's still Cletus, and it's just Cletus is sort of just rolling with it. He's like, I'll say whatever these cult psychos want me to say, as long as they're down with killing it. Like,
I mean, wasn't he still alive in that biohazard container?
Barely, thing? Barely. Yeah. I just think
I thought he was dead there, but
yeah. Well, it's like, my thing is, they have tried to kill Carnage like numerous times. Like someone said that he's basically a horror villain. Like, you think he's dead, and then, oh look, here's Carnage number 3, and he's back, and he's bad and back. I just think he's gonna come back. I'm just
kind
of confused.
There's a guarantee he's gonna come back. This is freaking Marvel.
Well, yeah, but it's Carnage. It's Carnage. You know, like Venom 2-star Carnage gonna come back. I just
Plus,
think
he was ripped in half in space and survived. So it's like I don't really know what's gonna.
Well, yeah, but that was like 5 or 6 years later, though. Still, but yeah, but yeah. I mean, he's gonna come back. I'm just very confused on why they're not being more specific on what's happening with the actual symbiote instead of just saying, "Oh, well, I guess he has it," or "No, he." I don't know. It's confusing. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I think we got to lay that on the editors mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's a good place to put a pin in that discussion. Let's go ahead and move on to our last issue, which is Absolute Carnage, Miles Morales #2. I would say this one is my favorite of the two that have come out today, and it kind of gives me the Absolute Carnage Scream feel with Miles fighting the symbiote and Null's influence.
Yeah, I haven't been reading this Miles story, but I do like how this was more focused on the actual event. But of course, that's just me being a biased, fan. But
this is a separate miniseries though, so it's not his standard series.
Yes, I am dumb. Yes, this is his own miniseries. I forgot. There's so many series
We're professionals here at this podcast.
Right. Yes. All 100 of our viewers. Yes, they're professionals. Yes, but yes, yeah. I mean, I liked it. I liked the little. Like, what was his friend's name? Like, what was the other dude's name?
Dan? Happy Dan?
Happy Dan.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, Dan. Dan, hey, let's fight this Carnage guy. And he's like, I killed my mom. He's like, oh, well, maybe I should associate with this guy.
He's like, well, yeah, I am a really awful, horrible person, but I want to do my own killing, not, of course, by this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just a random. One of our podcasts is asking if it's from the Enforcers. That's Fancy Dan on the Enforcer, not Happy Dan.
Yeah. I'd say that this issue was pretty fun. I really do like the Miles Morales doppelganger design. It's very creepy looking. There's a very, very odd scene involving him and Dark Carnage where it almost looks like they're kissing each other, which is just very strange.
Hey, I mean, I think people say Cletus is Southern. So, you know.
You're the one who hates that people make him Southern.
We have found our. I mean, I hate it, but I mean, we have found our true family right on that page. Right.
I mean, it seemed like to me it was like a hissing contest between the two of them at one point.
Yeah. So on the design, I mean, I kind of like that he's mixed with all of the others, but I wish he had more of a unique design because this is the first time Miles has a symbiote.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey guys, there's all this fan art of like all this stuff of like him like having a symbiote, and this one's kind of just
we even had a Venomized
like a doppelganger. Yeah, and this. Yeah, I mean, I wish it was more unique, but I guess it does match with the story, how he just kind of blends in with the crowd. Like, I like how all of the other dudes have like their, like, what do you call those? Like, their uniforms on, and Miles is sort of looking like that, but I don't know. I think with folks that like Miles having a symbiote are kind of sort of be disappointed that it's kind of just the same sort of design as all the others.
Would you have preferred if he had that Codex variant look with the spider eyes?
I don't know if I recall what that one was.
I mean, it's essentially it's like he's basically essentially like half symbiote and half pretty much what Arachnid Spider-Man would look like. Like he has like 6 arms now, and I'm like, okay,
right,
I'll go with it.
Yeah,
and Miles doesn't really like have like anything to do with these sort of things, so it's kind of weird that I don't know. Like he didn't really say anything about it, but I guess this whole time he's been fighting himself. Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like they kind of wasted the first time of him having a symbiote. But
I'm like starting to imagine Miles as a Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty, pointing at Eddie and Peter, saying they wrote me into this.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean that's what happened. That's what happened.
And then like yeah, so in the issue he's like paired up with this random cellmate who's pretty much the same as him, and they're just like throughout the issue they're like trying to communicate with each other. They're trying to say kill him, no, don't kill him, no, kill him, no kill. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's
overall, I think I did like the issue, but I like the ASM issue more personally. And while I do like kind of seeing like them go after Jonah, just sort of like how he did in Maximum Carnage, or like Carnage sent people after Jonah, it was a little weird how Sable's just sort of there. She's like, "Oh, I'm protecting this random."
Yeah, no, like they go after Jonah, and I'm just like, is he just some random target? Like, why would they go after him? And then, yeah, sure enough, yeah, Silver Sable, she makes an appearance. She comes to save him, and
for some reason.
yeah, it's just like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. To me, like this issue is just kind of random at times, and yeah, I did feel a sense of how Miles is trying to fight off the Grendel symbiote, and you know. I don't know. It just was kind of like a mixed feeling. It's just like mixed feelings on my part for this issue.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of lenient on. I don't really know if Miles needed to be included in this event. He's not really doing a whole lot. I do feel like they should have saved Miles having his very first symbiote for another time, because you know they made Gwen Stacy with the symbiote like a huge thing. Like there was even like a Funko Pop about that. And man, I don't know. I just feel like it's wasted potential. I don't know.
I'm kind of glad we're not doing Miles gets a symbiote, because then he's just going to be compared to Peter even more. Like Miles does a thing that Peter did, and I kind of like that they're avoiding that. It's different.
But
big event,
right? But
and
Miles can shock people, right? I mean, like, don't you know that he can shock people?
Venom blast.
Honestly, I almost feel like
different.
I almost feel like that's the reason he was sort of shoved into a symbiote quickly, because they showed that he is pretty effective against the Grendel symbiote. So they're like, we need to take him off the board fast. And so I feel like that's what this mini is. Like, this is what Miles is busy doing during this event, because he's been taken over.
Right. So like, do we think in the next issue he's just going to shock off the symbiote and just fight like whatever he's like, I don't know, fighting against Dan maybe?
I don't know, but you know, the end of this one had him biting down on J. Jonah's shoulder. Like, geez, what's going to happen to poor Jonah?
Oh no, they're going to kill
a bad
J.
arm.
Jonah Jameson in this old
JJ's not dying
Miles
in a tie-in.
Tis a flesh wound. I'll get healed quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I have no idea how this one's going to end, so...
You don't think they went after Jonah because I think Cletus wants to punish Jameson?
Yeah, I think...
You don't think that's why?
He and Jameson have a checkered history, so I'd say this is just, you know... This is Cletus, whatever's left of him being Cletus and going after Jonah for the heck of it.
Well, I'm saying like, so his son, like the Man Wolf, has been not following along with what he wants to do. So do you think they're going after him to punish John, or do you think it's just a random, like you just go kill this guy? Because that would make more sense, and that would tie into the others' books too.
I didn't even consider that he's using like, because John failed and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go kill your dad. That's kind of a good. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that. I really like that
either. Yeah.
Thank you. I do have good ideas sometimes. Yes.
Every now and then.
There you go.
Every now
good.
And then.
Well, I would also like to add. I did really like the art. Still, I still think the art's very strong. It's not quite as strong as someone like Ryan Ottley for me, but it still is a very unique visual style. And so I do think the fight scenes are really cool, and just like I do like how he differentiates some of the doppelganger symbiote. He's got like. Fancy Dan's like or Happy Dan is like a big guy, and so he's got a wider body than the others. Still got his uniform on, so it is something I like.
Right. Yeah. Did we talk about the spoiler we got for the issue there was a variant cover for Absolute 4 that kind of spoils something that's going to be happening. Do we want to talk about that now, or just wait for that later?
Probably wait for it later when that issue comes up.
All right.
Yeah, but anyways,
these variants are like spoiling a lot of stuff. Like there was a variant that like spoiled the Hulk. There's a variant.
Miles.
Yeah, Miles. So all these variants are killing us.
Yep.
Also,
right.
speaking of things we didn't talk about, because we talked about the Amazing Spider-Man issue, should we talk about those videos at all? The Carnage Unleashed things?
I think we should a bit.
Maybe a little.
Or we
bit.
could wait until they're all out. Maybe I think we got 2 or maybe 1 more of those left, but they would tie in to what we're talking about with that.
Because we've been saying
Amazing
for a while
Spider-Man,
that we thought they were going to take place in the ASM time, and so far we've seen none of that.
It's
So
like
it's
a completely different route that they're taking in the videos as opposed to the comics. Is what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I do like how they're focusing more on Norman, and it does seem like they're doing a lot of focus on Norman for some reason. So maybe he is going to die.
But I'm saying, and then you've got the Red Goblin anthology book or whatever coming out. It's going to be like a celebration before he dies or whatever.
Right. Yeah, but why would you kill Norman Osborn as a Carnage and not go out in his full, I'm the Green Goblin,
I think that's going to be a twist where maybe he finally does remember at the very end. He's like, I'm not Carnage, I'm Norman, and then Carnage is going to stab him in the back.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I'll show you I'm Cletus Cassidy. I'll just stab myself a few times.
When Dark Carnage finally loses control. And by the way, guys, for those of our live listeners listening, that is our keyword of the day. It's control. So best remember that for the end of the episode when we pull our name. Control.
I'll delete.
All right, so I think that's a good place to put a pin in today's episode. You can listen in next week as we review Absolute Carnage, The Immortal Hulk, #1. You can listen to We Are Venomaniacs on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music and iTunes, Google Play Music, and YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter at WAV_podcast. Check out our Discord server and become a member of the live audience during our next recording of We Are Venomaniacs. Join us, won't you? As always, thanks to my fellow hosts Carlos, Tyler, and Aaron for joining me today.
Thanks for tuning in as always, guys.
Thanks for being here.
This is your boy signing out.
And thanks to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast under the TVS banner, and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs. And now a word from one of our partners at The Collective, a network of superhero podcasts.
Hi, this is Chris.
And this is Brian.
And we are the hosts of Inner Demons, the Ghost Rider podcast.
And you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and other podcast apps for all your Ghost Rider needs.
Right on.